Today's going to be a little bit different. Today we're going to be talking about probably one of the most iconic weapons to ever grace Hypixel Skyblock in its entire over a 12-month existence. Today we're going to be talking about the Midasaur. If you've played Hypixel Skyblock before, you've probably heard about the Midas Sword and how it costs a ridiculous 50 million coins in the dark auction to unlock its full capabilities. Today we're going to be talking about the history of the sword, how it grew so popular very quickly around mid-August 2019, and we're also going to be talking about the fall of the sword and why people don't use it as much as they used to. So sit back, relax. Today is going to be very interesting. Also, really quickly, according to my YouTube statistics, actually only 20% of you guys who watch my videos are subscribed, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. So if you aren't subscribed, if that button's still red, do me a favor and just hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can change your mind at absolutely any time. Anyways, let's get into the video. So on July 2nd of 2019, Hypixel Skyblock released update 0.5. This was the fishing update. They mainly focused on adding sea creatures, and also one of the things I love to do on this channel, fishing. Fishing is tons of fun, and Yetis, yeah. The Yetis wasn't added in this update, but it led to be a large portion of my channel as of recent. So I have a lot of respect for that update because it branched into many different ideas. One of the main staples of that update was the dark auction. The only thing is no one actually knew how important the dark auction would come to be in our items until around mid-August, when Time Deal released a video of him buying a 50 million coin Midas. Originally, this was all just supposed to be a part of a meme. Little did he know that the 50 mil Midas is actually the most powerful sword in the game, or it was at the time at least. So everyone, after seeing that video and seeing the damage that he could do in that video, they went right away and they bought 50 million coin Midas swords once they had enough money saved up. It was honestly a sign of wealth. People, when they were trying to join guilds who did a lot of splashes and grinded slayers later, they would actually have one of the requirements be that you had a 50 mil Midas sword that was maxed out. So a lot of people would go and buy this sword even though they didn't actually need to use it. And the reason why they didn't need to use it is because in the Slayers update, the sword game changed around Hypixel Skyblock. On October 10th of 2019, not too long ago, well, a good while ago, they released Skyblock patch 0.7.2. This added in Slayer quests, something that a lot of people would grow to love and a lot of people would grow to despise, mainly because of the reoccurring theme of just having to kill a certain amount of mobs and spawn the same boss with the same chances to get the same loot every single time. And it was an endless cycle until you would level up your Slayer quests and you would get some decent buffs, but you would also unlock new recipes. As people started progressing through Slayers, they learned about 3 brand new swords. First, the Reaper Falchion, okay? Great for killing zombies. Second off, Tactician Foil, great for killing spiders. Third, the Pooch Sword, great for killing wolves when you're trying to do Sven Packmaster quests. And so once people discovered these swords, they realized, hold on a second, these swords do more than my Midas when I'm focused on Slayers. And the problem at the time with the way the game was set up is that Slayers were really the only thing that you needed a sword for. And it looks like I failed a quest. I don't know how that happened, but I failed one. So yeah, actually Slayer was the only thing that you really needed a sword for a good while, and that was mainly because there wasn't really anything that you needed to fight against. And to this day, until dungeons, you really didn't need a sword around Hypixel Skyblock if you had these 3 swords. You didn't need a main sword to carry around, you had a bow to kill random things, but when you're going around the server, it's hard to find things that you can't kill once you're around the late game stages. And so these swords were perfect. Me without armor on and like talismans reforged for the right thing, with this sword I do, okay, that wasn't a crit. So yeah, I don't have armor on and stuff like that, no pots, 33,000 damage to a regular zombie. And people realized that this was better than a Midas very quickly. For example, boom, that wasn't a crit, but let me try and get a crit here. 20,000 damage. So it was just simple math. You could easily see it when you swung your sword that these Slayer swords were actually better for the purpose that we needed them for. So we saw a large influx of people selling their Midas swords. If you go to the auction house now, I'm on bin only by the way, let me go to show all. There are tons and tons of Midas swords. Whether these be people just going to the dark auction, enchanting them, trying to make a quick, easy payout, people just don't use their Midases as much as they used to. And this also had a big play once they released the first Pets update. When Pets came out, they released a pet called the Ender Dragon pet. The legendary Ender Dragon pet allowed you to do more damage with the aspect of the dragons. So when that happened, the aspect of the dragons actually had a huge resurgence and became one of the main swords that people were using because of this pet. And that is why these pets go for so much, and also why you can see a lot of the aspect of the dragons that are maxed out go for a lot of coins as well, because you can do a lot more damage with this over a Midas. So more Midases were being sold on the auction house. I think you can see a recurring theme here a lot of people have been selling their Midas swords. As players gained more and more money through doing dragons or getting lucky with their RNG drops from slayers, they all looked at a little bit closer into a weapon called the Emerald Blade. The Emerald Blade is actually very unique because it upgrades your current damage bonus based on how many coins you have in your purse, or like your piggy bank here. Like basically the coins you have on you. So for example, if I have 50 million coins, I'm going to do a lot more damage than if I had a million coins on me, and so forth. And from what I've seen, there is actually no cap to the damage bonus. I could be wrong, please correct me in the comments, but I haven't seen a damage cap in terms of how many coins you have on you. So the rich players, they decided to fully max out an Emerald Blade, they took all their coins with them, grabbed a bunch of piggy banks with them, and they would go and deal ridiculous damage with the Emerald Blade. And it's still a theme we see today whenever people are doing dragons. If they're truly sweating and they wanted, like, they're meleeing the dragon, you will most of the time see them with an Emerald Blade. And so that became more of a trend, and a lot more people ended up selling their Midas swords once again. This story to this point has been mainly downhill for the Midas, but there was a little bit of a spike, I'm not gonna lie. On July 1st of 2020, Hypixel Skyblock released update 0.7.11, and this added Reforged Stones. Reforged Stones were a great addition, actually, I find, because I believe that the way you can change your classes and your whole talisman set and everything that you want to run, you can change your reforges on your armor for a lot cheaper. It was just a better system than the same old reforges. Once you reforged it, you'd never touch it again. So I'm a big fan of this update, I'm not gonna lie. And they decided to add something called a Midas Jewel. This is something that you couldn't get when the update first dropped, but right after 0.7.11 came out, update 0.8 came out on July 7th, releasing the Catacombs. Personally, one of my favorite updates in a while. A lot of people hate on dungeons, but I'm a big fan of it. And this released the Midas Jewel. So this is something that you can get from the King Midas that you can find in one of the rooms in the first few floors of dungeons that we've seen so far. And so these jewels actually sell for a good amount on the auction house nowadays. Let me actually show you guys the price real quick. So as you can see here on the auction house, they go from anywhere between low 30s to 40 million coins, which is quite ridiculous. And then it actually costs 5 million coins to add the gilded reforge onto your Midas sword. So right here, I do actually have a gilded Midas sword. And so as you guys can see at the bottom, Byron's Compassion gilded. Upon killing an enemy, you have a rare chance to grant coins to a player around you. So not only does it do that, but had to make my GUI scale a little bit smaller. But if we take a look, Epic is actually one of the all-around good reforges for a sword right now. So it upgrades your strength by 40, crit damage by 35%, and bonus attack speed of 10%. When you look at Gildus, it's plus 90 damage and plus 90 strength, which is a large increase, as you can see, between these swords. Keep in mind, though, this is a mythic sword, so there's a little bit of a difference there, but nonetheless, a very large difference when it comes to the reforge. And so this actually saw a good spike back to the Midas sword. But right after this happened, Floor 3 of Dungeons was fully being explored, and people were learning a lot more about a little weapon called the Bonzo Staff. So the Bonzo Staff was actually a weapon that you could find from floor one of Dungeons. You could get in a chest, the Bonzo Staff, and people were starting to use this a little bit more once they started taking on Floor 3. Floor 1 and 2 you could honestly do with about any sword, but when Floor 3 came around, there was a lot of strategies that involved the Bonzo Staff, and a lot of players were going Mage. Mage was ridiculously broken right when Dungeons came off. It's been a little bit balanced since then, but nonetheless, Mage is still the class to go. And the Bonzo Staff was amazing. I mean, you could just shoot this thing and do tons of damage. Mana regen wasn't even a thing to consider. You could absolutely annihilate any mob in your way if you had the mana to do so. And with Blessings of Power in Dungeons, you definitely had the mana to do so. I mean, for example, a buddy of mine, Menacing Banana, he still averages at least 8,000 mana by the time he gets into a boss fight, which is ridiculous. So imagine that. It costs 50 mana to shoot this thing once you have Ultimate Wise 5 on it, and you can just spam this thing. It goes on forever. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Nothing is surviving in a path like that. So the Bonzo Staff absolutely annihilated any chance of the Midas being somewhat respectable again. And I'm still struggling to find a purpose for this sword, because when I do Slayers, I still use these 3 swords. If I wanted to go do Dragons, I would just use an Emerald Blade if I wanted to strafe. Say I would save money, because if I were to sell this gilded sword right here, for example, I could sell it for at least 100 million coins. And that would set me well on my way with an Emerald Blade. I'm not sure exactly on the math if that's more damage, but I think you're well on your way to doing more damage than a Gilded Midas. So in my opinion, I'm struggling to see the purpose of the Midas sword nowadays, and I constantly think about selling my own, because I never use it, to be honest, and I don't know when I will use it again. There's new swords that are coming out for new classes and dungeons as well, and the Midas just keeps on getting more and more buried. I think it was a good try to revive the sword with the Gilded Reforge, but people just haven't realized that the sword isn't as good as it used to be. People are just so used to knowing it for how iconic it was. It was the 50 million coin sword. It like smelt like power and wealth, and you wanted to have it. I mean, I know after I saw Dio's video, I wanted to get my hands on it, and I started grinding my coins for it. And I was glad I had it for a while, but it's just not the sword it used to be anymore. But nonetheless, I think that's going to be it for me today, you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my little insight on the Midas sword. Maybe there's some ways they can bring it back. I mean, I guess once you kind of star it and get it into catacombs, it might be a little bit better. But I still feel like there's going to be better weapons by the time that comes around and anyone reaches the level to be able to use this thing in catacombs. So yeah, let me know if you guys agree with my opinions in the comment section down below. If you guys haven't already, check out my Badline Client Cloak, top link in the description. 10% off right now with code ZachPlaysN. Leave a like on the video if you guys did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys there. Bye.